What's up, you guys? It's your boy Brandon, aka Where's the Pizza At? Today we're talking about elbows. Be really careful with these because you want to slice your homies up. What's up, you guys? Brandon here with my buddy Daniel. Today we're talking about elbows. I love getting on the inside, getting past the jab, getting past the kick, and working in the clinch, the elbow and the knee range. Elbows are great, especially if you're more comfortable with them than your opponent. If you're more comfortable on that inside, sometimes it takes them a couple of moments to switch gears while you're already doing damage with the elbows and the knee strikes. Elbows are great because it's a quick way to end a fight. How many times have you guys seen, someone catches an elbow right above the eye, they're bleeding into the eye, fight's over. Elbow to the chin, to the temple, blunt force, knockout, winner, chicken dinner, early night, go have dinner with your friends. It's also, the little bones in your hands, they're so fragile, they're so small. It's a whole lot easier to break your hand than it is your elbow, right? Blunt force wise, you can put a ton of power and do a ton of damage with your elbows, okay? Generally, the first way I tell people to think about elbows is it's just the same as your punches. Think of your same basic punch combinations, maybe 3 hands, jab, cross, hook. You can do the same combination with your elbows. It's just different hand placement and it's just a different range, okay? So whereas with Daniel, I have jab, cross, hook, right? Pop, pop. I can do essentially the same thing with my elbows. Elbow, elbow, elbow here. Just keep in mind, if you're close enough to elbow someone, they're close enough to elbow you. So it takes a little bit of thinking at first to make sure that your hands are staying in a good position and guarding yourself from your opponent's elbows, okay? Generally, the first elbow I show people is the up elbow off of the lead hand. Think about it, like I said, just like your jab. The right hand stays nice and tight to your guard, and then your left hand, your lead hand, is gonna kind of comb your own head back here, okay? Okay, so that's usually the first one. And I will say, of all the elbows that we're gonna work on today, generally that's gonna be one of your highest percentage landed elbows. It's very quick. It's hard to see because it's going up and there's no real lateral motion. So as long as you don't load it up and you're nice and clean about the motion on the way in, it generally does a good job of splitting people's guard right up the middle, either finding the chin or finding the head. The second elbow is my rear side. Sometimes this can go over the side, but I find better luck with it going kind of diagonally down and splitting the guard. The way that I do that is I just kind of turn my hand over so that the back of my hand is kind of touching my chest. That's gonna expose the nice, sharp, bony part of my rear elbow, okay? Again, left hand tight because I'm getting close enough to Daniel's guard where he can elbow me, okay? I'm turning this over the side here. So we can put those together, just like you can put your jab cross and your 1-2 together, we can put those 2 elbows together pretty easy. So up elbow, cross elbow. Making sure I'm resetting my back foot and pushing off of it. If you're practicing these on the focus mitts, you can definitely let them rip, or on the Thai pads. But when we're practicing with our partner and they just have gloves on, there's not a whole lot of padding in your boxing gloves, so try not to shred their palms to pieces entirely, okay? Then the third that I like to do, again, think about 3 hands, right? Same thing with elbows here. Jab, cross, hook, but I can also do kind of the same thing with my lead elbow. Now that I've turned my right elbow over, I can come right back with my lead, okay? So the third elbow is just gonna be that lead hand, but it's gonna go a little bit over the top and a little bit diagonal. Again, kind of flipping the top of my hand to my chest so I can get over the top, okay? Generally, these diagonal and the up elbows are gonna have a little bit more luck depending on your partner or your opponent's guard, right? If Daniel goes to his guard and I throw straight horizontal elbows, a lot of times they just get hung up here or here. I don't want to waste a ton of energy going into his block, into his guard. I really want to find a way to split it and to make contact with the head, with the eyebrow, with the nose, or something like that, okay? So those are gonna be our 3 basics that we can string together, okay, for our first kind of 3 elbow combination. So we can kind of go back and forth on that one. Pretty simple, and get some nice muscle memory. Just getting used to that range, right? Because you're pretty close, you're like right in someone's face, and it can be a little bit intimidating at first for your partner. So make sure you do it slow at first, and then once you kind of find the rhythm and find the pace, maybe you can speed it up a little bit, okay? Alrighty, the 4th elbow I'll go to, moving on a little bit from basics is your spinning back elbow. At first it looks a little fancy, it looks a little flashy, but the mechanics of it, the fundamentals of it are really not that advanced. And it's a great kind of insurance. Maybe you swing too far on a kick, or you miss a low kick or something like that, or you even set it up kind of cleverly, maybe off of a hook or whatever. But the spin elbow is a great weapon. It's a great technique, okay? Normally when I hold for this, I'll have my partner hold 2 hands up, just so we can kind of have a little bit of safety there, but it's also a different looking target than the elbow that I was just throwing, right? He was just holding this basic left elbow for me, right? But now he's got 2 hands on it, so without even really saying anything, we can kind of tell that we want the spin elbow off the bat, okay? First thing here is I want to make sure I'm keeping my eyes on the target the whole time, and I just kind of step over just outside and sometimes even on my opponent's foot, okay? I know that if I am near or close to his foot or even on his foot, I know that it's gonna pretty quickly trace to his head, okay? So I keep my eyes on it, and I'm stepping and I'm turning, okay? From there, I keep my eyes on it as long as I can. I'm spotting my target, and as soon as I turn, I spot it over my opposite shoulder, here. Shoo. 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 Okay, what you don't want to do is like turn and have your eyes tracking the whole room while you turn. You'll get dizzy over time, and you're also less likely to hit your target. So you want to maintain that accuracy by keeping your eyes on it as long and as much as you can. Again, sometimes in a fight, you know, we're just training, we're doing pads right now, but sometimes in a fight, I'll literally step on their foot, kind of pinning them there and making sure they don't move away from there, okay? A lot of times this will go over the top. It can go straight to the side, or it can go underneath. I'm just kind of making that read. Obviously, he's holding pads for me right now, but in a fight, while I'm turning and while I'm spotting, I'm just making that read and seeing what their guard looks like and where I can have the most luck and success with this spinning elbow, okay? So to review, we got our first 3 basics: up elbow, cross elbow, and this diagonal off the lead. Then I can just step over, for the spin. Whole series, bop, 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 bop. Making sure I'm stepping really, really close to my partner's foot, if not on it. I don't want to step way out here and throw my range off, okay? And I certainly don't want to step inside and basically give my back to him for a sweep or a dump or his own elbows and knees, okay? Okay, again, moving on into some more advanced and some kind of more sparring drills and more advanced elbow drills is a lot of times you're looking at someone, you're in this elbow range, and they have a nice tight guard, you know? No one wants to get elbowed in the head, right? So they're gonna be nice and pinned here. What I can do is simply manipulate my opponent's guard and pull a hand out of the way to clear it from my elbow, okay? The first one is my lead hand to their lead hand, and I can just go over the top, or I can go underneath, or I can go over the side. Whatever I do, I just need to get enough space so that there is a clear path to my target. Right now, the target is obviously his hand, okay? Shoo. 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 Okay, so that's the first one. I can also go my rear hand to his rear hand. Shoo. Shoo. This is not very different from what you might see in traditional boxing. My favorite, Lomachenko, he'll touch his way in, ping, 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 and do the same thing with boxing. Maybe he does a jab to set up his cross, or his cross to set up the hook. So it's a pretty common move. It might look kind of fancy or flashy at first, but the mechanics of it are great. And a lot of times your opponent's guard, or your opponent's instinct, is to kind of fight this pulling anyway. So it pulls them kind of towards your strike, which is a really nice little bonus, okay? So my first one is lead to lead, bing, rear to rear, bing. I can also go, I've seen a lot of times in stadium Muay Thai, my lead hand to their rear hand. It's tricky for your partner to hold, so be careful with it. Here, here. Shoo, shoo. Shoo, shoo. Most times I won't just like reach out and try and look for one of these. Most times I'm gonna do it off of a boxing combination. So maybe I'll go double jab for the lead. Boom, 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 boom. Or maybe 1-2 for the rear. Boom, 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 boom. Or I can maybe double jab my way into the rear mitt. Boom, 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 for that third one. Boom, boom, boom. So there's a whole lot going on there, and you really need to, use your eyes as your first weapon here to make sure that they are pinned, to make sure that they are defending. I'm never just gonna step into the pocket and kind of roll the dice on this. I really want to make sure I'm touching my way in intelligently and setting this up in a smart manner. Thanks always for watching. Please click like, subscribe, share it to your friends. The more this gets out, the more we can hear some feedback, the better. If you want to learn more about how to get into this elbow range, check out our other video on clinching over maybe here somewhere, or maybe here. I don't know where it goes.